Welcome to the Financial Freedom Podcast with your host, Lorna Poole, sharing the secrets to creating wealth, investing, and that all-important money mindset. To find out more and accelerate your journey to financial freedom, head on over to www.lornapoole.com to get started. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Financial Freedom Podcast. Would you love to be able to 100% demolish your debt? With me today is Karen Ford. She is a motivational speaker, author, and master financial coach. Karen shows you how to break the chain of debt as well as give you practical insights on how to create and build wealth. Karen, great to have you here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Tell me this, right?
Yes.
You have demolished your debt. So you must have experienced being in debt, right?
Oh my, yes. Yes, I have. I'm 55 years old, and about 30 years ago, I found myself in quite a pickle. I had a lot of credit card debt, and I was in trouble financially. My father ended up having to help me get out of a particular situation. And at that moment, I've always enjoyed money and numbers and that kind of thing. But I actually had a paradigm shift that day because I thought, oh my, I cannot live the rest of my life like this. So I actually started studying investments, studying how to get out of debt, that kind of thing. And about, I'd say probably 4 or 5 years ago, I really delved into it and love investments, love, helping other people get out of debt, demolish debt, budgeting, and then, of course, building wealth. I love that.
I'm guessing this was a relationship.
Yes. Yes, it was. Yes.
I used to be a love coach. I was like, that's a relationship. Anyway, yeah, right? Who we get involved with can really affect our lives. So tell me this, okay? And this happens to a lot of people, so I'm really glad you're sharing this. You're going along in your life, or maybe there were signs already, but anyway, sometimes life doesn't work out the way we want to be, and we find ourselves in a certain situation, okay? So debt, specifically, a lot of people have it.
Yes.
A lot of people are struggling with it, and they sort of know what they need to do, but they don't do anything about it, right?
That's true. I've talked with a lot of people that they have debt, they want out of debt, but it's not that big of a deal to them. I can help people that really want to apply themselves.
I think that's a really important thing you just shared. Most people will never change their lives unless they really make a clear-cut decision. I'm going to do something about this, right?
That is so true. They have to acknowledge the debt too. I've coached several couples that, and this is unfortunate. It's an unfortunate thing that they hid it from each other, and then it's exposed with me. That can be interesting. But there was a husband and wife that I was coaching, and she had credit. They both had credit cards together, but she had credit cards that he didn't know about, and he had credit cards that she didn't know about. Long story short, between the two of them, they had 86 credit cards. Yeah, you talk about shock. I kept my facial expression right.
I can't even believe that's possible.
It is possible. And, I not only, both of them, that was wrong, that neither one of, that was wrong for both of them to hide it from their mate. That was wrong. And I'm glad that they, acknowledged that, and it was exposed. Unfortunately, it was exposed in my presence. But we made a decision. Okay, that's okay. Now it's already there. We know. So now when you leave here, you're not going to have a fight about it. Both of you had credit cards unbeknownst to the other person. So we're not going to fight about it. But now that we acknowledged it, now we can do something about it. And I think that's powerful, Lorna. We cannot do something about a situation unless we acknowledge it. And sometimes people think they know how much debt they have, but in reality, many people think they know how much debt they have, but they don't.
They don't get specific, right?
Correct. They think they know, their house or certain credit cards, but really, to really acknowledge and do something about the debt, you have to list the debts and the balances and total it up. And then you'll know how much debt you have.
And the interest rate, right?
Oh my, the interest rate. Dear Lord, yes. And some of those credit cards, they had credit cards with low interest rates of maybe 8%, but a lot of the credit cards were up in the 18%, 20%. The highest one I saw was 33%. Yeah.
I'm carrying my own debt right now, and I reached out to the bank. I didn't know my credit card interest, and I am shocked. I've just found out a day ago. It's 24. It's way too high.
Right. Well, see,
somebody has to do some homework.
Right. Wow.
I never had bad debt, but from my first business, learned the lessons, blah blah blah. I've put myself in debt that I'd rather not have, but now we're clearing it. But anyway, I love that I walked the journey. So tell me this, right? How do we do it? How do we get out of debt?
Yeah. I'm so glad you asked. Well, first of all, to make it very simple, I like to do it in steps. The first step is to write down all of your debts, whether that's a credit card, a mortgage, a car, student loans, whatever, or furniture in a department store. Write down all your debts. Then total them up so you can see exactly how much debt you have. And it'll be shocking for some people. But now that you've acknowledged it, now you're going to really be motivated to do something about it. Mm-hmm. Then you're going to list those debts in ascending order. Mm-hmm. What I mean by that is you're going to put the smallest debt on the top part of that piece of paper, and then you're going to list all of them in ascending order. Then you're going to write down those payments. Let's say the smallest debt you have is a credit card and your minimum payment is $25 a month. Write down all of those minimum payments right next to the debt itself. Now, your first goal will be, let's pay off the smallest debt amount quickly. Whether that's $100, $200, whatever it is, pay it off. Now, let's pretend that minimum payment on that debt was, say, $25 a month. Well, now you have an extra $25 you can do something with. Now, some people are tempted to spend that, but no, we're not going to do that. Now we're going to take that $25 from that debt we no longer have, and we're going to apply it to the next debt. So if the next debt is, say, another credit card of, say, $50 a month, you're still going to make that $50 payment, but now you're going to attach that $25 to it as well. And that's what I like to call a snowball or the Goliath. You remember, in the Bible, that story where David, killed Goliath? Most people are accustomed to that story. Well, you had to kill a lion and a bear first. So sometimes we look at our house payment, we look at that mortgage and think, oh man, are we ever going to get that paid off? Well, that's the Goliath. We have to hit the credit cards first, the lion and the bear first, so to speak. So let's do the small debts. And then with each debt payoff, now that you don't have that monthly payment, you're going to apply it to the next one. And you will see yourself getting out of debt so quickly, it'll be record time. And what's fascinating with that is sometimes people have said, well, I don't want to pay off that little credit card first. Shouldn't we pay off the high interest rate first? And I understand that thought. I really do. But let's pay off the small debts first, even though it might be low interest, because then that's going to put a win under your belt, so to speak. If that high interest rate, you've got maybe $3,000 on it, it's going to take you a little bit longer to pay that off, and you might find yourself not being that motivated. But if you can pay off those small debts first, no matter what the interest rate is, let's get rid of those. Once you pay one of those off, you're going to be motivated to start paying off the others. And it's just phenomenal how quickly that will happen.
So tell me this, right? I'm going through this right at the moment, okay? So
Yeah.
my smallest debts are to friends. They're interest free. And I put them on the back burner.
Okay. Right, because
Right?
they're interest free. Sure.
Then I have a student loan and then I have a credit card. That's it, right? That's mine, okay? And I know like these could be cleared pretty quickly, right? But
Sure.
my go-to is I want to get rid of that credit card. But then I'm not getting rid of those small little debts.
Right. Even though they're to friends interest free. And that's a great question. One thing to look at is whether it's interest free or not, always go with the smallest to the largest. Your friends will definitely appreciate it because you're paying them back rather than, necessarily putting them on a back burner and waiting. I would go ahead and take care of the smallest debts first. And then I understand your process on the credit cards, but let's get rid of those small ones and then work our way up to the bigger ones, just like that.
So no matter what your situation is, small to big, small to big.
Yes, small to big. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Love it. And whatever you pay off on your first one, you put that to your second one. Whatever you pay off your second one, you're sticking it to your third one. And that's what you mean by snowball, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, absolutely. And you'll see, it's almost like, you look at a mountain or a hill and you start a snowball and it starts rolling down the hill. It builds up momentum, it moves faster, and it gets larger. So if you think of it like that, your debt is going to get smaller, but your momentum, your motivation is going to get bigger as you pay off those debts. And that's powerful.
So the key thing to paying off the smaller ones is that you can see the evidence that you're actually making a change.
That's right. You're making a change. You're seeing those debts being marked off on that debt list. And you're going to be so motivated once you pay one off. Each time you pay one off, it just motivates you to, oh, right, what else can I pay off? And it really does build momentum.
It clears your headspace, I'd say.
I beg your pardon?
It clears your headspace, I'd say.
Yes, absolutely.
So, I had another question now. It's gone out of my head. What about a lot of people that are in debt? They're there for a particular reason. It's habits and patterns and things like that. How do you overcome that? Because that's usually what holds people back.
Yeah, I think that's a great question too. Sometimes people go into debt because they don't have the money to take care or to make a purchase. For instance, let's say you're in a furniture store, you see something you like. I have found, and there's actually been a study done, that we spend less money when we spend cash. If we go into a restaurant or we go into a department store, if we spend cash, we're very mindful as to how much we're spending. Whereas if we're using a credit card or a debit card, we end up spending 47% more money by using a debit or a credit card than we would using cash.
But we're moving into a generation where there will be at some point no cash.
That's true. But we need to stay with the cash because we'll spend less. And I understand what you're saying, but most places that accept, a credit card or debit card accept cash as well.
When I used to travel, and when I was in Australia, they were very card, and the States also. And I see it now coming here. Like we were more cash. Even when I was in the States, everything was a card, and you could get a store card. You go buy something, especially in the States, when you go buy an item of clothes, they're like, "Do you want to buy this store card?
Right.
You can get a credit card." Like I would not get that in an Irish store.
Right. Well, one thing to keep in mind is, when people offer a credit card, the reason they offer it to you is because they're going to make money. They're going to charge you interest. And sometimes people have a great heart. They have a great thought. I'll get the credit card and get some great deals and I'll pay it off each month. But 90% of the time, people do not pay it off each month. So the card company is going to make money off you because they're going to charge you interest. But sometimes people end up spending money with a credit card or going into debt for particular items because maybe they go shopping because they're depressed. And I think what we need to do is before we go shopping, we need to look at ourselves and think, okay, why am I going shopping? Is it because I want it or is it because I need it? And more times than not, it's because we want it. It's not necessarily a need. And we need to look at why are we wanting to go buy?
Because for a lot of people, debt can be like smoking. It's
Oh yeah, it can actually be an addiction for sure. It's like a way for them to relax or a way for them to get rid of stress. And just like smoking or something like that, we need to look at an alternative. Because if you don't have the money to spend, then we certainly shouldn't go spend it. We're just going to end up, putting ourselves in further debt.
Before we kind of wrap it up here, okay?
Sure.
What do you suggest about, do I clear my debt first and then focus on my financial freedom? Should I be doing both at once? How did you create the turnaround in your life?
Well, creating the turnaround is, first of all, we have to focus on the debt because it's real difficult to try to focus on debt and build wealth at the same time. It's like your money is divided. But if you focus on, let's get rid of this debt, and then after we pay off all of the credit cards and the student loans and the car, and maybe we only have a house payment now we can really focus on getting rid of the house payment while we're investing and building wealth. But it's difficult and challenging to try to build wealth when you have all these credit cards, student loans, and car payment. So I would say don't cause a division. Let's get one focus, one vision, getting rid of all of the debts except the house. And while you have the house payment, we can focus on building wealth. Absolutely.
I love that. And I think that's a good place for us to wrap it up. Even I myself, as the interviewer, have got a lot from this. So thank you, Karen.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So Karen, tell me this. Anyone listening to this, they're really struggling to demolish their debt. They're in the same place you were, or I am, or lots of us, and they really want to do something about it. What's that kind of first step, or what should they do now, or what's going to make the biggest difference?
Well, one big difference will be a budget. A budgeting form puts you in control of your money. I heard someone say one time, a budget is telling your money what to do instead of wondering where it went.
Oh, I love that. Say that again. That's so good.
Yeah, a budget is telling your money what to do instead of wondering where it went. It puts you in control. So if you can put your debts and you put your budget on paper once a month, and look at that, your budget for the month, it only takes about 10 minutes to fill out a budget form. And you're deciding the budget, what you're going to do with the money. But people that don't put their budget on paper are the ones at the end of the month that will ask themselves, what happened to all that money? And when you make a budget, you know exactly what happened to it because you're in control of it.
I love that. And Karen, you have a free gift, don't you?
Yes, I do. I actually have a great budgeting form, which can be found on karenford.org, my website. If you just send me a quick message that you're wanting that budget form, I will send it to you. And it'll put you in control of your money.
Love it. And how do we find out more about you?
Sure. You can go to my website, karenford.org. I'm on Facebook, Karen Ford, as well as KBF Money Managing. And you can find my book on Amazon or my website entitled Money Matters.
I love it. Thank you, Karen. That's been amazing. I just want to invite everybody, head on over to Financial Freedom Podcast, where you can get more information like this and start changing your life. And it is, as it says, Financial Freedom Podcast Facebook group. Type that into your Facebook and you'll catch us. All right. Thank you for being here. This has been amazing, Karen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us on the Financial Freedom Podcast, to creating wealth, investing, and developing your money mindset. To get started today on your journey, head on over to www.lornapoole.com and grab your free course, 5 Steps to Breaking Free from Your Poverty Mindset and Accelerating Your Journey to Financial Freedom. See you there.